Welcome to the Inner Champions podcast. Would you like to promote your business so the world can find you? If so, follow us at Inner Champions Podcast on Instagram. Lastly, follow our current sponsors Tees Enchanted Trinkets on Instagram and The Real Talk with Jordyn.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, everybody? This is the Heat and Headline Sports Show update. I am coming to you live and amplified today, Friday, for a very kind of interesting show. We have two baseball teams last week. I believe it was Tuesday of last week. Got into some type of altercation due to the Atlanta Braves player taking a high pitch from an Angels pitcher. And before I get going, I have somebody well known on multiple platforms. His name is Stephen A. Smith. I'm going to let him give his point of view and his insight. And then after that is done and finished, I will then come back and give you my point of view and insight on how this should get changed and controlled. And I understand that people have levels of competition and egos, but I'll let Stephen A. Smith explain his perspective and point of view, and I will get back to you guys momentarily. So take a listen, and I'll see you on the other side.
I don't care. I loved it. Let me be very, very good. Yeah. Anything that involves that kind of person, obviously you don't want anybody to get hurt. You get that part. But those are some haymakers Soler was throwing. And obviously Lopez, I see him with the check left. He tried. I mean, I didn't mind it at all. I like to see the passion again. You don't want it to get to that point. But listen, let's understand it. Let's put this in perspective for the average layman out there. You throwing a ball, probably a fastball, in excess of 90 miles per hour, high and inside, that's very dangerous. If there is a reason to get into a fight, that would be it. I would say also about this, and this is just me being cruel in a very funny way, to some degree anyway, it's nice for the Angels to do something relevant. I mean, they ain't been in the postseason since 2014. They haven't had a winning record since 2015. I mean, damn it, do something to have us interested. Right now on this season, they're on a fast track to pretty much nowhere yet again. They're 6-6 on the season. Just an average middle-of-the-road team that's going to be entertaining for the first few months, and by July, they'll be irrelevant, okay? So because of that, I'm like, anytime you're seeing fans out there having something to cheer about, hey, all the better for it. Again, we don't want anybody to get hurt, and we certainly don't want to promote violence per se, but it's nice to see the passion. It's nice to see cats willing to go at it. It's like to see a relatively healthy dislike for the opposition going on. I really don't have a problem with it, but it was pretty much because of the outcome as opposed to what the possible outcome could have been. Thank God nobody got hurt.
And again, some of you who heard that take will agree to disagree and are completely locked into the Los Angeles Angels, and that's completely okay. That is your plan, your thought, your opinion. And again, there may be someday, quote-unquote, debate that the Heat and Headline Sports Show update brings to the platform, which, in a way, I am not mad about. I am here for it. I am going to give you now my take and insight of what I would have done in that situation. Therefore, I know people have all different thoughts and opinions, and I guess their own takes on what could happen, what should happen. But when things happen that quickly, it's hard to react on what you are processing in your head, what is going on, and everything along those lines. And I get that. I understand that. But I think that this stems from a problem with you not having proper protocol, proper organized team, proper standards, and this goes for both sides. I know that the Braves are somewhat a little bit better than the Los Angeles Angels, but therefore, let's get back into the Angels and my kind of point of view. And the reason why I'm going to bring my point of view to it is, one, because it's my own podcast and I have the ability to do so, and if you don't like it, you can scroll on and move on. But for the Angels, they need to have a better standard. They need a better have a better plan of attack and plan of how to be better on the field at this matter, not at court, but at the field, and how to present themselves. I know that they've got some guys and they want to be ultimate champions and they want to do this and they want to do that, and they've been wanting to do that for a long time. But take a look at their record in years past, and they're just not at that magnitude. They're not at that capability. Anybody is at the capability, but it comes from the structure. It comes from the development. It comes from your team. It comes from buying in together as one, and how you carry yourself and how you act on the field, in and around and outside of the stadium, is ultimately going to give you things like that. And again, I know it was a heat of the moment situation. I know that the pitch looked like it felt like it was high or whatever, but again, you have to learn how to control your actions, and you have to, in my opinion, have to have a better management system when it comes to that. You have to sit down with your team, you have to sit down with your players, and I'm sure ultimately both of these players from each team will get fined in some kind of magnitude, in some kind of way, shape, format or whatever, and that's okay, and they'll have to figure that out themselves, and that's on them. But I just think at the end of the day that this could be fixed, this could be controlled to a controlled manner. And again, I know, like I said prior to all what I said before, is that heat of the moment, things happen. I get all that, but at the same time, I just really think this needs to be prevented, needs to be taken care of, needs to be mitigated. I understand somebody else's point of view that, that's what the sport comes with. That's what you sign up with. If you want to do that stuff, go into WWE, go into wrestling, go into all that. Baseball has to be controlled. Baseball has to do better. So does basketball. We could talk about basketball for a minute. Somebody got so upset at the college level that a bad handshake went down, and they all thought it was all disrespectful or whatever. I've seen countless videos and countless highlights of the man who shook the lady's hand, and everything was fine. So I just don't understand where these people are coming from with all of this stuff about poor sportsmanship, poor this, poor that. If you have a problem with it, let's focus on your team first. Let's focus on actually before those small things. Y'all get upset. Y'all need to be a better team, get along with it. And I know for a lot of teams and for a lot of organizations, that's harder to do than not to do. And I get all that, and I understand you got to take baby steps and baby approaches. But like I said, if you want to be at the top of the top, like you have talked for years, you got some of the best in the business. Prime example, Mike Trout. And I just hope that he, can eventually get somewhere. I think he kind of drew his name in the sand as an Angel, and that's okay. That's his decision. That's what he wants to do. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to cost him. It'll cost him his entire career, and that is that. And I just, wish these teams the better. I wish they could be a lot more organized and just figure this stuff out. Again, I understand the whole level of competition is different at the professional level. I understand that emotions fly and things happen, but a lot of this stuff can be fixed. A lot of this stuff can be controlled for professionalism and whatnot, nature of the business that we're in. I mean, let's just be honest. It's all about money. It's all about how much money you can get and how big your contract can be. And that's also to go to show you, we can branch off and talk about it for a minute, is the NFL and those crazy level of contracts. And it's fine. It's great. It's wonderful. But honestly, guys, and girls and whoever could be listening, but let's take it back to sports and what sports was. Where's sports for the passion? Where's sports for the heart? And it's all about money. I understand money talks and the bullshit walks. And that's fine. But again, I think in these instances, you're taking away from your passion. You're taking away from the sport. You're taking away the love for people to watch the sport. It's all goes back from years past when people were kneeling because of the flag. We live in the United States. If you're listening to this in the United States, stand up and just, represent what where you live and where you're, not necessarily from, but you chose to come to the United States. If we're talking about that, then represent what you're here for and why you're here and what got you here. I understand this is not a, technical political podcast, but I'm just trying to give you all rounds of aspects and where sports is at and where sports once was with just the heart, the passion, the love, and players love to play just to play, and it's getting so bad it's all the way to the college level, and I hope to goodness it doesn't even eke out to the high school level. But there are some areas and some parts that it kind of does, and in its different ways and different aspects. But I mean, we're here now. And to Stephen A. Smith's take on it, I will have to add on and say, yeah, it was good. And let's be truthful. We're being truthful. This is a truthful sports show, and it was a good thing that I guess the Angels brought in a very long time. Do I condone it? Do I condone fighting? No, absolutely not. I think it needs to be fixed. I think it needs to be controlled. I think it needs to be monitored. And there's a lot of different ways to go about different situations, and a lot of those plays and a lot of those things that you have to live with, you just got to have a bad pitch and move on from it. You can't snap just because you didn't see a pitch go your way or a catch go your way or what have you in baseball terms. And so I just think that obviously, in my opinion, it can be fixed, it can be controlled, but at the end of the day, I think it stems from you have to having an all-around team meeting with your team before the season starts and lay your lay of the land, lay your parameters, lay your standards, lay your vision board, lay everything out on the table and say, okay, men, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to approach it. Again, I think a lot of the Angels' issues and the Angels' problems from years and years and years, they have poor management. They have poor team skills. They have poor everything. Can it be fixed? Yeah. They have to give the ultimate person that comes in there and fixes an opportunity to fix it. A true leader has to come in there and clean house. And, lay down his foundation, lay down his law, and say, this is going to fly. I will let this fly. I will let that fly, but I won't let that fly. And you have to ride or die by those standards. And, again, I know that this is on my version of the Inner Champions podcast over now on Golden Sky radio station. For those of you that don't know, the positive part of this podcast has been moved over to Golden Sky Radio. Check us out on all social media platforms. That's Instagram. That's Facebook, that's TikTok, and now officially on YouTube. Check us out on all platforms. But anyways, back to the sports show version of this is that, in sports, again, like I've said, you can go through these lump sums and these ups and downs. And again, that's on you. That's for them to figure out. They're grown men. They are ultimately going to pay the fines that they have to pay. And we move on. We grow from it when we hope to get better as a team. We hope to get better as one unit. But again, I don't think that will happen. And kind of like Stephen A. Smith had said, this is just a repeat factor of where the Angels will be in weeks to come. And it's just unfortunate to see currently right now when this comes out. I think they'll have a couple more games. But when this is being taped for you and everything, they're 6-6 at the moment. And it's a repeat of what they've been doing for years, and I understand that, I hear from my friends all the time, they have hope, they have a chance, But again, I don't think you guys look at the sport the way it needs to be looked at. You guys look at it as a fan perspective, and that's fine. You all are fans, you all listen to it, that's great. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it, and you have to break it down, and you have to dynamically think, can this work? How does this work? How do we get this player to do this? How do we get this position to be this position? How do we get this person to be over here at this position? And it becomes a system. It becomes a formula. I mean, prime example, guys, look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got a formula. They've had the same formula. They had the same manager for so long, and it's consistency. It's built up, And like for the Angels, you reap what you sow. You practice the same bad habits. You're going to ultimately have them in games every time. You're ultimately going to have them year by year, And it just continues and it goes and goes and goes and whatnot. And that's, again, ultimately what the upper people that own the Angels want to see, apparently, because they have not cleaned house from the bottom up. And until they do that, I don't think that they will be relevant. I don't think that they will be in any kind of playoff hunt or playoff picture, for that matter, in the MLB. And it's sad. It's unfortunate to say, but facts are facts. And I really still believe, even though he probably drew his name in the sand, like I said before, Trout should have left. Trout should have moved on. Trout should have put his energy into something as more as not just loving it for California. He should have loved it for the sport. He should have loved it for his passion. He should have loved it for his heart. And I think that his views, in my opinion, are probably in a little bit different way. And it ultimately, I think, is going to hurt him for any kind of championship run, championship career, to say, oh, I was once a championship contender on such and such team. And again, I can't make that decision for him. We here can't make the decision for him. And it's sad to say, But again, facts are facts, and I think that that's where it's followed suit. And not just off the 2025, 2026 season has it early on showed that, but in past years, it has repeated itself continuously, time and time and time again, and we're still here. We're still, selling a bad product, a bad formula, and it needs to get fixed. It needs to change. You need to clean house. You need to mitigate some of the issues that you continuously have, not as an individual player, but as a team, as a program, as a whole together. And until that gets fixed, I don't think or don't see that doing that anytime soon. You will ultimately have these issues, and you'll run into them. And it's sad to say. It sounds negative, but that's the fact of sports that we're in, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that, it's all about the money and where's the most biggest contract, fattest contract. And again, that's okay. That's for you guys to decide. If you're a big believer in, chasing the money, then you're in the right business. But if you would do it for your love and for your passion, and you want to win a championship for your organization or for your family or for yourself, then again, have those standards, have those levels of expectations, and run with it. Look at some of the former teams that have been there back to back, aka Los Angeles Dodgers, and we'll hopefully be back there a third time. But look at Arizona, for example. They've been up, they've been down, been back and forth. But the Angels just got to get back on track. They got to get with it. They got to want it. They got to win it, and they got to love it. If they don't love it, they don't have the heart, they don't have the passion, they don't have the desire, they're not going to do just that. And it's going to hurt them. It's going to hinder them, and it's going to be an eyesore for years and years to come.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Don't forget to follow us on all the platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Thank you for listening to the show.
And again, I hate to sit here and be zealous about it and talk about it. I hate to be the one on the chopping block when it comes to this nature, but I have ultimately been from the bottom up and built teams and built championship teams, not just at high school level, but ultimately at the youth level. And I see it every day. I see it within our kids right now. They don't know how to be a team. They don't know how to be organized. And this, as you see, goes all the way up to the professional level, in my opinion. It happens in college. Look at prime example, the Colorado, for example. He's a leader. He knows how to be a leader, but he just could not get that team to want to connect together. And some of these baseball teams and some of these professional teams at all sports, all levels, run into these similar issues. And I'm going to go off on a little separate announcement, and congratulations to UCLA girls women's basketball for winning a national championship. I watched the second to last game, and that was so energetic and so motivating to see. And I wanted to throw that announcement in there and utilize that, use that as an example, ladies and gentlemen, is that, look at what they did and were able to bring home. And I think they only lose like one game or something throughout the year, and they beat the best team in the business. It was just a thrill, an all-in-all thrill to watch. And I'm glad somebody else won it. I'm glad somebody else did their homework and stayed the course, stayed with it, and just pushed through. And I think that's really what the end of this message and show is going to be, and podcast is going to be, is that just ultimately push through. I know that tempers flare and things get physical and it's feisty, and that'd be good for like a hockey game or something, for example, in my opinion. Maybe a good football game going back and forth, but not for baseball. I don't see, where do you get in altercations and where do you get in fights? It's not like he took off his face with the ball or anything like that, or hit him in the gonads. And it's just, again, controlled emotions. They got to learn how to control their emotions as a team. They got to learn to control their emotions as individuals. And that's how I see it. That's how I feel. And we're in 2026, and it's got to change. It's got to get better. It's got to get better for the sport. It's got to get better for themselves professionally. Like I said previous to all this, is that I'm sure both of them, if not part of one organization, will pay a fine. They're gonna say who went after who at what point, and film doesn't lie. Everything within professional sports and in that realm of field is now video recorded. There's cameras, and everybody carries a camera in their pocket. So that kind of, I guess, altercation was probably taped, was filmed. I mean, come on, let's be real here. It was on TV. So I just hope that this gets better. I hope that there's a difference. I hope that these owners of these baseball teams have a come to Jesus meeting with their programs and their organizations and say, hey, look, we can't act like that. We have to act more professionalized with a more professional, way of going about things. And again, it's harder said than done, and I understand all that. I get all that. It's unfortunate to see, and it's a sad thing to see at the year 2026 of just bad altercations, a hissy fit in my opinion. That's kind of what it looked like. I've seen multiple angles of highlights. I've seen multiple different people's POVs and stuff, but we're in a state of cry for me, he hit me, and not pay me the big bucks. Not like they don't have a contract, and even when they're injured, they still get paid buku bucks. Same thing goes for pro football, pro basketball, WNBA, everything around it. It's just and I'm not saying that these people go and get injured on purpose, but they have a buffer. They make more money than the rest of us probably listening to this show. So I just wanted to come on and give you my take on how I felt about this situation and scenario, and I think I have given you some of my own support and going about this situation, how I would go about it. And again, I don't like to brag, I don't like to talk about it, but I was once a former champion. I was there for like 7 years total, and I saw how this team was built. I saw what the coach of my team put into it, and that was that. So it's just it is what it is, and I will catch you again on, I believe, show number 4 for the Heat and Headlines Sports Show here right on Inner Champions Podcast on these platforms. Feel free to please follow me on social media on our Inner Champions Podcast Instagram. But like I said beforehand, and if I hadn't said beforehand, I'll say it again. Any of the motivational podcasts you will now catch on Golden Sky Radio. It is a live online radio station, and if you want to hear more positive, more uplifting stories and inspirational things that I have to share with you as a team, as a community, you can now catch me live over there once a week at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over on goldenskyradio.net. That is the official website. You can find us at on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Golden Sky Radio. TikTok is a little tricky. I believe it's golden.sky.radio. But please go do all those. I will do my best in this particular branch of description to give you some links to follow. Hopefully you can click those for us and help us grow over there at Golden Sky Radio. We also have a couple other shows I want to mention to you. One of the other shows is more like a mental health lifting podcast. It's called Real Talk with Jordyn. The second show that we have over there that I really do enjoy on Friday nights, I believe at 5 p.m. I could be wrong. I think that time was changed, but it's going to be called Saddle Up with Jordyn. And then also Monday nights, that same show repeats for Monday nights if you missed it on Friday. So please tune in to my show over there, Inner Champions Podcast. And that's where, like I said, you get the motivational side of things. And make sure to tune into the other two shows, Real Talk with Jordyn, which she advocates for people who have some mental health issues and need some love and support and some caring and whatnot. And then there's Saddle Up with Jordyn. And we do have more shows coming soon. Within the coming weeks, we'll have a couple other shows. And I can throw it in on this one, is that over there at Golden Sky Radio, I am the Golden Sky Radio station manager. So please feel free to check us out everywhere on social media. Check out my social media at Inner Champions Podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. I think YouTube's a little bit different, but eventually you'll put in Inner Champions, something will come up, and I'm sure you'll find me. I am, like I said, over there now on Golden Sky Radio for the more positive side, positive motivation of shows and episodes that we have got going on. So thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next week for another edition of the Heat and Headline Sports Show update here on the Inner Champions podcast platforms. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.